It was another busy week at the House as many finance committees began crafting their omnibus bills for the upcoming biennium. Here's a look at what happened during the week. House Republicans kicked off the week by releasing their proposed budget for the upcoming biennium, a $46.3 billion spending plan that includes increases for health and human services, education, roads and bridges, and a $1.35 billion reduction in tax collections.
Our budget focuses on three main key priorities. Number one, making an investment in road and bridge infrastructure. Number two, in education. And number three, in reducing the cost of health care for Minnesotans.
Dubbed the Minnesota Way, the Republican plan also reduces spending to state agencies and reflects the $327 million in insurance premium relief passed earlier this year, along with $140 million for a reinsurance proposal making its way through the legislative process.
We're calling this the Minnesota Way, which means identifying and funding priorities, just like families do in their own budgets every day in Minnesota.
DFL members criticized the budget proposal during Wednesday's meeting of the House Ways and Means Committee.
I think it's pretty clear what the rationale is. I think the rationale overall is that you and your members obviously think that giving big tax cuts is more important than taking care of people in need in this state. And I, for one, think that's really a shameful position.
It does concern me that we're not taking care of the basics. I mean, I heard from the parents, I heard about mental health. These are basics. I'll talk about drinking water sometime here too. But these are the basics. And a budget that doesn't take care of the basics is not what Minnesotans are expecting from us.
On Tuesday, the House Public Safety and Security Policy and Finance Committee heard testimony on House File 1510, a bill sponsored by Representative Tim Miller that would essentially reopen the correctional facility in Appleton, Minnesota. The bill would direct the Department of Corrections to either purchase and operate or enter into a lease-to-own agreement to operate the private prison in Appleton in order to address bed capacity shortfalls in state correctional facilities.
This bill is to address a simple fact. By the department's own recognition, there are not enough beds for current state offenders. Those numbers are going to increase, and there is a fully functional, adequate facility in Appleton, Minnesota to address those needs. None of these facts are disputed. Last year, the Department of Corrections referred to prison overcrowding in Minnesota as a crisis. By the department's own projections, which were presented to this committee earlier this session, our offender population will grow and exceed current capacity by more than 900 inmates by 2024.
Representative Deborah Hillstrom opposed the legislation, in part because of the past track record of CoreCivic, formerly Corrections Corporation of America, the company that owns and maintains the facility.
We do not belong leasing this facility. We do not belong buying this facility. We don't currently have a need for it, and we do not want to be in the business with a company like CCA.
The bill was held over Tuesday by the committee for possible omnibus bill inclusion. Tuesday afternoon, House Republicans unveiled an omnibus transportation bill that would lean heavily on general fund dollars and borrowing to pour roughly $2 billion into road and bridge projects across the state over the next 2 years. The plan would shift $450 million in transportation-related tax revenues from the general fund into a new account for road and bridge infrastructure projects. It also proposes $1 billion in trunk highway borrowing over 4 years and would institute a $75 annual surcharge on electric vehicles.
We believe we have put together a great package that will finance significant transportation projects in the state of Minnesota.
The House Republican plan would not raise the state's gas tax to provide a dedicated boost in transportation dollars, an approach favored by House and Senate DFLers and DFL Governor Mark Dayton. However, House DFLers swiftly criticized the plan following the Republican press conference.
So we have very serious concerns with this bill. I think it's chock full of gimmicks and alternative facts. The main gimmick is somehow that we can use general fund money to fund transportation long term. We need dedicated, stable, long-term funding to address our gap.
On Wednesday, the House Health and Human Services Finance Committee considered House File 10 that would direct the Department of Commerce to convert Minnesota's health insurance exchange, MNsure, to a federally facilitated exchange, effective for coverage beginning January 1st, 2019. Representative Matt Dean sponsors the bill.
If you were maybe on the fence a year ago, the evidence is very clear and growing that we need to move in this direction. We are looking at moving away from MNsure and trying to reconnect people to the health care that they had before.
DFL committee members criticized the plan, saying that it is imprudent to direct people toward the federal system while the federal government's position on maintaining it is uncertain, especially in light of MNsure's record enrollment last year.
We are looking at the federal government, Republicans who are in control in the House and Senate and the presidency in Washington, D.C., are going to make big changes in health care.
As amended, the bill was held over for possible inclusion in an omnibus bill through a party-line roll call vote. House Republicans announced their intent to put forward a $1.35 billion package of tax relief for the 2018-19 biennium on Wednesday. Calling it a work in progress, House Taxes Committee Chair Representative Greg Davids said relief for the state's middle class is long overdue.
We have a $1.6 billion surplus. It's time to provide Minnesotans with long overdue tax relief. This $1.35 billion tax relief proposal prioritizes middle-class Minnesotans in all age groups, from the family with a newborn attending daycare to the senior citizens trying to enjoy their retirement.
Many of the bill's provisions were in last year's omnibus tax bill, which, while considered bipartisan, was vetoed over a drafting error that could have cost the state millions. House Minority Leader Melissa Hortman released a statement on the Republican tax proposal. Too many Minnesotans are working hard without getting ahead. They are faced with a lack of economic opportunity to build a better future for themselves and their families. Meanwhile, the rich, powerful, and well-connected continue to do better, while most Minnesotans don't. This needs to change, and unfortunately, the Republican tax bill likely won't do that. With the third committee deadline falling on March 31st, House Finance Committees have been hearing testimony and crafting their omnibus bills for the biennium. For more information on these bills, or what else is happening in the House of Representatives, check out our Session Daily coverage on the House website, www.house.mn/sessiondaily.